All right, this is Impact ELR News and Reviews, Season 1, Episode 6. Don't let my cheery demeanor fool you. I am exhausted, Zach. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing well. I'm actually enjoying. I think some of our guys came down and seen you and brought back the nicer weather because
Nice.
uh, Monday into Sunday we had another delay for school because woke
Yeah.
up to -10 degrees again.
Yeah.
Uh, but today, believe it or not, it was like 54.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's in short sleeves, ready to break out the Crocs and open the windows and turn the fans on.
Well, hey, I am glad they came down. I am glad they brought some warmer weather back with them. I've got a lot of shout outs I want to give in this one to some of the match over the weekend. It was a really, really good match. So you want me to jump into it, or how do you want to do
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. Go ahead. Tell us what
Cool.
you're.
So had a great match. Let's get into weather conditions. Of course, we do data day on Friday that starts around lunch. We have a 100-yard zero target, and we typically have a target. This time we had a target at 1,002 yards, 24-inch plate, and then we had a 36-inch plate at what was it at 1829 or 1838,
30,
somewhere around
something
in
like
there.
that. Yep.
Yep, and the shooters can shoot that and check their dope and check their data. We had a good group of shooters down doing that. Had pretty good weather for that. Some wind, but very clear. It was nice. So we rolled in Saturday morning safety brief. We ended up with I think 22 light guns starting and 13 heavy, maybe 12 or 13 heavy starting, and rolled into 7:30 safety brief Saturday morning. Conditions were good. We had good visibility. Like I mentioned in the last podcast, we face east, and so you got to let the sun get up a little bit. But we were setting up the long shot target cameras and getting everything done. So we kicked off about 9 o'clock. And we started out great. Had the light gun started with 1,011.85, I think is where the second target ended up. It took light gun because they had twice as many shooters. Took them heavy was able to shoot two stages while light gun was shooting the first one. We went to the second stage for light was 1293 and 1506, I think 1505, something like that.
And light
Heavy
gun,
gun, yeah. If you got it,
I do. Hold on.
and Zach, tell me
Uh,
why you have this information.
because I did your scoring for you.
Yep. And
We
so let
use
me
the new
explain
the
how
new
that works.
system.
Yeah, and that was great. Zach wasn't able to come, but he graciously did scoring for us. So we keep a physical score sheet while shooters are shooting, and we would take pictures, send it to Zach. Zach could put it in the score sheet. And I want to run through the scoring one more time, just a real quick run through so people understand it. A first round impact is 1.1 times the yardage. So at 1,000 yards, it'd be 1,100 points. And then consecutive impact after that adds 0.1. So 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 for 5 impacts in a row. If you miss, it resets. And so that's how we did our scoring, and it's working great so far. Heavy gun, going back to them, they started at the 1293 and they went to a 1399 target. Their second stage then went 15. What did you say it was, Zach? 15.
On heavy gun,
Or that 1,500 yard target. What was exactly that yardage?
1506,
1506. So they went 1399, 1506. Then they went
1732, and then
yep.
1905.
They hit an 1850 or 1830 something in there, didn't they?
Oh, they had an 1830. Right,
Yep.
they had an 1830.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And so we got them kicked off, and it rolled good. We had, you mentioned a couple of shooters came down. We had shout out to those guys, Fast Freddy, Francis Alexander, and Joe Latta came down. Great to hang out with those guys. Fun to watch him shoot.
Eric,
Actually
Eric
shoot
Jones.
classes. Eric
Yeah.
Jones. Oh, well, I was going to give a separate shout out to him. That because Eric, man, he was a trooper all weekend. He helped on scoring. He shot. And that always adds a lot to a person to try to do both. You don't really get, and I appreciate him doing that. So Eric, man, you thank you. We couldn't have done it without you. Jeff Pratt, we had Jeff Pratt and David Randolph from Virginia come down. Jeff Pratt's recently had some surgery, and so he just trooped through it. He shot, I think, two of the stages before he decided he probably
Yeah.
needed to withdraw. And so,
Yeah. He did.
I didn't want him to push it, and I appreciate him even coming and doing it because it's good to have. It's always good to have him on the fire line and good to have him in a match. And so day one, we got out to 1900 in both classes. That 1900 target.
Yeah,
We had
1905.
some. What's that now?
1905.
1905. So we got out to there. We had some gusting winds in the afternoon. The mirage was surprisingly bad. I didn't think it would be as bad given the temperatures this time, but it had gotten soupy. It was hard to get feedback. Where those targets are very flat, and it was some challenging conditions. Um, so day one, great conditions. We rolled into day two. Like I said, we have to go about a mile and a half south to the south firing line, and we turn and shoot to the north. And this is where we had originally planned for light guns stage one to be about 1,100 yards. We had a target at 1145 that we set up, and then we had a target at 1345 or so that were going to be very challenging target locations. They became more challenging when there were about 50 cows that stayed out there and just would not move. We
Oh,
tried to run them
they're
off.
stubborn animals.
They are. We tried to run them off. We got about half of them to follow us with some treats, but the other half stayed out. That's just where they wanted to be. And so graciously, my shooters decided not to get a lot of stakes this weekend, and we ended up having to have a change of plans. So we went to for stage one or stage four, first stage on Sunday, we went to the two far targets.
Right, 2291 and 2368.
You said 2291 and 13 or 2368. Yeah, gotcha. And so the way pits is that goes into a creek bottom and then comes up into a field, and it is very challenging. You're making a big jump, and we had a slightly switching headwind, which made it very difficult. I almost wish it would have been a dominant wind from one direction because it would have made it easier, honestly.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you could watch the mirage move back and forth, and with your time of flight getting so long, then there'd be shots that there was nothing the shooter or spotter could do about it. It would be off left side, off right side. But it was a blast. We had some impacts. We had some good stuff. We ended up our winner in light gun was a new shooter to us, not a new shooter by any means. Great shooter, great team. It was a guy named Brian Bowling and Addison Moeller. Well, that's the spotter. Fantastic guys. It was a pleasure to have them at the match. They were running with Ivy shooting ELR, Ivy shooting equipment. If you don't know Ivy, they make the adjustable inclination mount that we'll probably talk about later in this podcast. But it was great to have them there. Second place,
Joe Latta.
Joe Latta came.
Oh, that's in light gun. That's in light gun. You're in heavy guns.
Yep. Second place was Joe Latta in light gun, right?
And which one you want to run down? I'll give you the rundown if you want.
Run me down in light gun real quick.
Okay, we'll run down in light gun.
Yep.
In light gun, we had Brian Bowling. He won with 43,352 points and 24 impacts and a hit percentage of 48% and 2 first-round impacts.
Good.
Out of a possible 10.
Right.
Speaks to the challenge of pits.
Well, and especially on day two, since we had to shoot those furthest targets twice, which is not what the plan would have been. Those were going to be very difficult targets to get first round impacts on.
And the most anybody had was 3 first round impacts.
Yeah. It was challenging. Challenging.
So yeah, you had Brian winning it. You had Joe Latta right behind him with 39,000, 54 points, so a separation of just over 4,000 points.
Yep, couple of impacts at distance.
Yeah, right. Especially when you're talking about the farthest distance being 2368.
That's right. That's right.
With 2, yeah. So very much. Then you had Mike Ackridge ran in third, and Addison Moeller. Scotty Seals rounding out the top 5. You had Nathan Harrison in 6th and Johnny Brown. He's always consistent.
Yeah.
Chris Hampton and Steve, how do you say Garcia?
Grassi. Yep.
Bracken Burdett.
Yep. He's a newer shooter. It was great to have him down. He's going to be at Black Bear coming up. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Find it. Search him out. He's a good guy.
Yeah, you got Dave Posky was 11th.
Oh, I love Dave. I love some famous Dave Posky. He is an awesome dude.
Ron Witham in 12th. I was glad to see him back out and shooting again.
That's right.
Shot both divisions, too.
That's right. He was our only shooter shooting both with different rifles.
So. Right. Nathan Harrison.
Oh yeah, Nathan. Right. Yep, Nathan Harrison shot. But then Nathan, you talk about a fun shooter to watch, man.
Yeah,
He can run a rifle with the best of them.
Francis Alexander finished 13.
Yep.
Sean Rhodes, I've never heard of him, but 14th must be a new guy.
He got very lucky to even get that.
Fast Freddie Fisher in 15th. Brittany Mattis. That was this her first one?
Second.
Okay,
she shot the Deep South event in January, the one day, and then came out to this one and just stays super consistent. Always great to share a fire line with her and Salvatore.
Yeah, she got impacts all but the last two relays, which were both, like I said, over 2,200 yards. So she got impacts, on the first day, which went out to like 1905 or something.
That's right.
Then you have Brian Wellhouse. We talked about him the last time. He's a 300 Weatherby shooter.
That's right.
In 17, Frank Wyatt in 18th, Jeff Baum in 19. Salvatore finished 20th.
In both of the matches, him and Brittany have shot. She's beat him.
Right. I always said the wife has done that with me a couple times, and I've always said it's because she does what I say, not what I do.
Well, they don't know it's supposed to be hard.
Right. Yeah. Right. And like I said, I honestly, I credit it a lot because I second guess myself. I'm down there, I'm about ready to break the shot, and whereas she only has the information I gave her, she doesn't know to second guess it, and she just sends and they always tell you your first gut feeling is probably the right one, and then I start to second guess too much, and I think honestly, I think girls do that a little better than guys do anyway. If they're shooting at something, my wife is anal about it. She's like, I'm not pulling the trigger until it's exactly where you told me it should be. Whereas I go, close enough.
Yeah, that's right. So hard. To just not send it. So
and then 21st was Bill Murray, and 22nd was Kevin Harmon.
Oh, good. Yeah. Bill Murray and Kevin are also good shooters. It was great to have them there this weekend. I want to give a huge shout out to my scorer in light gun too, is Mr. Matt Brown. That guy always brings a match up, super consistent, calming voice on the firing line. Love being around Mr. Matt, and I really appreciate him coming down and help, just like Eric did in heavy class. So run down heavy class for me, and I'll give a breakdown of sort of how heavy went, I think.
Yeah. All right. Let me get over there. I got a little carried away on my screen there. I'm not used to mine. I was like, "Where's it at?" Forgot I was too low down, so I went like.
Well, and let me talk about heavy gun. I'll do that while you're pulling it up.
There we go. I got it.
On Sunday, they shoot two stages. They shoot the same two distances light do. We have two targets side by side, and then they go out to 24. Their yardages on their last stage for heavy.
24, 24-20 and 26-60.
Yep, that's right. And those are on 48-inch plates. So give me a rundown on heavy.
All right, for first place we had Dan Brock. Man, he's consistent. I see in Pitts. I see his name at the top of the list. I think he's already got 2 wins.
Yeah, I told him I might have created a Dan Brock rule that after you've won it 3 times, you can come shoot, but you can no longer compete. Right. He's I don't know. It's a house that Dan built down here apparently now. So.
And he did exceptionally. He won it with 42,288. If you notice, that's really close to the same score that Light Gun had.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah,
and he had 22 impacts and 45% hit percentage.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if we get a chance, I'll talk about that just a little bit. But how closely Light Gun and Heavy Gun mirrored each other. So if you thought, man, 45% overall hit percent was low, it was consistent on both sides. That just tells you what a tough venue that Pitts can be, because these are world-class shooters. This isn't like you made a meatball match and a bunch of who's that showed up, and these are some big names that showed up, and it just shows you the struggle is real.
Yes, it is.
Another guy glad to see up there, Scott McDermott. Finished second.
And he spotted for Dan, and that's a 1-2 combination. Like they are consistently at the top. That arena training facility team is, if they ever get on target, you better kick them while they're shooting. It's the only way to get them off of So,
I'll bet you this is a big surprise to you too. While we're going down the rundown, a few of the stats I look at right off the top here, just because I have it
yeah,
up.
yeah.
But Dan Brock hit target in every relay.
Oh yeah, good.
So
Yeah,
so he hit at least one target in every relay.
yeah,
That's saying something. And uh, only one other person in heavy did that, and I know you won't know this name,
yeah.
Nathan Harrison.
Of course. Yeah, 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 yeah,
And he finished fourth, by the way. James Saxon was third.
yeah.
Fourth was Nathan Harrison. Number five, I don't think we don't know this guy, David Randolph. I think you said
No,
something about.
a new shooter. Yeah, I mean, no, David's one of our great Virginia shooters. Great spotter, great shooter. I think he won our series last year, right? Wasn't he the heavy series winner?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yeah, yep. So it just shows you how consistent he is.
And I think he's I don't know whether he does it full time or that's his day job, but he does a lot of heavy equipment work.
Yeah, yeah.
You wanna live life on the edge, take a side by side ride on a trail that he has made. Let me tell you,
Amen. Yeah,
you'll, if you don't know how to pray, you'll learn.
that's right.
But so we have in sixth then Joe Latta.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, here's a guy that's doing double duty, shooting both light and heavy in a lot of different venues, and he's doing it with a 300 Norma.
yeah, and crushing it.
Yep, yep. His name's always right there. If it's not at the top of the podium, it's usually in the top 5 or 6 here.
That's right.
First time at this venue,
Yep,
so he's
yep,
he's learning the whole time. Seventh, Mitchell Martin.
yep,
Eight, Eric Jones.
yeah. Which
Nine,
again,
yeah.
impressive showing with Eric, with him helping score and everything too. Impressive showing. Eric is a great shooter.
Oh, he's the other one I forgot to mention. Made impacts at every distance.
Nice. Nice.
Or not every distance, every relay.
Yep, that doesn't surprise me with Eric.
So three shooters made impacts at on every relay, and Eric Jones was one of them out of the 12 person field.
Yeah, yeah,
Francis Alexander, he was in
yeah.
ninth. Like I said, Fast Freddie Fisher, another one that's doing double duty with a 300
Yep.
Norma. Finished
That
10th.
part of that Francis Joe Fast Freddy team. This is fun to watch them work
Yep.
together.
They're on that ARM American Rights Movement team.
Yep. We
Francis
appreciate
helps
them
out.
supporting the match. He contributed some prize money to the match, and we appreciate that for the American Rights Movement. Check them out. It's a worthwhile movement.
So then 11th, Ron Witham, again doing double duty.
Yep.
But he was using two different rifles.
Right.
Him and Nathan Harrison.
And I appreciate Ron doing it because he came in on short notice with a load that he was just trying to work up for this match, and I appreciate him coming and doing it. And Ron, thank you for doing that.
Yep, he's one guy I've talked to several different times. He'll be like, man, I don't know why I'm going to send it.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
if you got a guy, it usually don't have to twist his arm too much. He's a I like to send it guy.
That's right. Likes to hear him go bang.
And he usually does pretty well at it.
Yep.
And then, like you said, 12th was Jeff Pratt. Like I said, he dropped early due to like I said, it was just amazing. He was there in the condition he was in, and
Yep.
really appreciate him coming out and helping. And
Yep. It shows you the heart people have for ELR, and just to be around the people and the camaraderie, for him to drive 8 hours to come to a match just to be around the people and to shoot and to try to shoot. It just shows you how this sport can just become ingrained in you, in the heart that the competitors have.
yeah, I normally spot for Eric, and
Yep.
I wasn't there, so I know Jeff jumped in there and helped Eric out and did a lot of spotting for him.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, great guy, and really appreciate his presence and him being there this weekend.
But no pressure on you if Eric goes down next match. If you're spotting for him again, don't even worry about that.
That's right. But yeah, we can talk a little bit if we got some time here. We move on, or do you want to move on?
Let me give a quick shout out to. I want to thank Joel Russo at Terminus Actions for supporting the match as well. He put some certificates on the table like we'll have at all of our East Coast ELR matches. So Joel Russo and Terminus Actions. I personally run the Terminus Action. I love them. And people have their preferences, but you can't go wrong with the Terminus. The American Rights Movement, Francis Alexander, thank you for doing that. Brian Bowling and Addison Moeller, they were representing Ivy, and he threw a $400 certificate on the table. And so Steve Ivy and Ivy Shooting Solutions, Ivy Shooting Products for ELR, thank you. We it's deeply appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you a lot more matches. But yeah, let's thank you to all the shooters that came and really made Pitts a fun match. I look forward to doing it again soon. And with that, we'll close the book on Pitts. And Zach, we'll transition to what you want to talk about now.
Well, like I said, the last episode we started talking about ELR and some of the basic things you'd need to get into it, and we went through some calibers and rifles. I think maybe this time maybe we'll talk a little more on optics because, like I said, I think in the last one, it's equally almost as much. You know, it's hard to tell which one's more important, your optic or your rifle, because again, if you can't see it, you can't hit it.
No, and that's we get a good rundown on the rifle. So on optics, so let's do this first, Zach, if you don't mind, and maybe this isn't the best way, but let's talk about what features you want in an optic, and then we'll talk about maybe some of the options that are on the marketplace. So what do you when you're looking for an ELR scope? You've got your rifle now, you've got whatever you've chosen to go with. When you start looking for an ELR scope, what features are you looking for?
I would say probably the very first one you're going to look for tube size.
Okay.
Because you're going to need, that's what you're going to mount. Your main tube size is what you're going to mount it to your rifle, and that's what's going to give you the majority of your adjustment. You know, how much vertical adjustments your optic has will depend on how big that main tube is, you know, and you're going to need probably at least, I would say, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 mils, which translates into somewhere around 100 MOA. I'm not really an MOA guy, but am I close? Somewhere around 95 to 100
Yeah,
MOA?
you're a little over 100 MOA at there. So yep.
So that's why I start with tube size, because I know that you're going to need every bit of that. I shoot a 300 Win Mag. I've shot it out to 2,300 yards. Off the top of my head, my dope at 2330 is around 31 mils. And in my optic, that means I'm probably going to dial 28 and hold somewhere 28 and a half, and I'm going to hold somewhere between 2 and even 2. 2.5 mils. On top of that.
So you so at least you would say at least a 34 millimeter tube size for a scope.
At least a 34 millimeter tube to be able to get that. And like I said,
and they've got. Let's see. I think Leupold has a 35. There's some Zeiss has some 36s maybe, and then there's some 40s out there now. I think.
That's news to me. I'm familiar with 34, 35, and like I said, I think a 36. 40s are out there.
I think Valdata has a 40 millimeter, but I may be wrong with that. I'll have to double check. But when you're getting into an ELR scope, you're starting to look at a very specific feature set that you're not going to find on your regular hunting rifle or your hunting scope, or even your PRS scopes for to some degree, right? So tube size, what else are you looking for? And mainly, just to be clear, tube size is mainly for the mechanical elevation.
Right. That's the main. That's where you're going to get the majority of that. Your objective lens is probably going to give you a lot of your brightness.
So what size objective do you say is a minimum for
ELR? 50, probably 56, somewhere around there. And I think most of them come that way.
I don't ever see anything probably below a 50 on the firing line. ELR, we're not going to be shooting in low light. You would think, hey, maybe I don't need a huge objective, but you want all the light you can get. You want, a good sight picture. You want a good field of view. So I think 50 to 56 and up is about all you ever see. And
that's where they're mostly going to be. They're going to be in that 50. I think Leupold makes them in the 54, if I'm not mistaken, and then 56s is pretty common. 34 millimeter tube and a 56 objective is pretty standard on your Vortex, your Night Force, your Collis. Those are all pretty standard. But I would say so you're looking for a good tube. You're going to look for repeatability. That's probably.
Tell me what you mean repeatability.
In ELR, you're going to be doing a lot of dialing for elevation.
Right. So you
Uh,
don't want cap turrets most of the time. Then
right.
you want something. Okay. All right.
And you're going to be taking this, if you're shooting ELR, you're going to be taking it to an extreme. 1,000 yards is where you start at,
Yeah.
with light gun, and like I said, you were running out to 2,300. Uh, you're
Hmm.
going to use just about every bit of adjustment that optic has, and you need to know that if you dial your zero, the zero is right where it was when you zeroed it.
Right.
Dial it all the way to 2,300, 30 some mils, or
Okay.
in my case, 28 mils, and then hold the rest. That when
Sure.
you bring it back to zero, it's going to still be there, and if you take it back to 28 mils,
Yeah.
it's still measuring 28 mils. So that's what we mean by repeatability.
Gotcha. And you're going to want a pretty good range on your windage for being able to dial it. It's not as important, but most of these scopes are going to have a pretty good windage built in as far as your range on windage as well.
It's usually what you usually have, like 10.
Yeah.
I'm going to say again, I'm a mill guy, so you
Yeah.
usually have like 10 mils per revolution
Sure.
on a lot of your thing for elevation.
Right.
On windage, it's usually about half of that.
Yeah. Right.
And it's because half of it goes right and half of it goes left.
Sure.
So once you meet the backside of the dial, it's counting the other way. So normally somewhere between 5 and 6 mils is all you're ever going to be able to. Well, you can dial more, but you're going to
Right.
get lost.
Right. Right.
Eventually, you're going to get lost. As wait a minute, you've turned so far left that you're going right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
that
So
makes sense. At least on the dial, not physically, but at least on
right.
the dial.
Right. What magnification range do you recommend?
I'm glad you brought that up because I think the number one mistake that new guys, because I get it from people that aren't familiar with ELR, they're like, "Man, what power scope are you using?" And I'm like, "You're gonna be surprised.
Yeah.
It's not as much as you think."
Right.
I have them to go to 36. I would say most of the time I am at 27 to 30 power, and if the
Right.
Mirage is bad, I'm a lot of times down around 22 or 20 power.
Right. Yep.
Uh,
Magnification is not your friend a lot of times.
Right. And that's, if we have the chance, we'll talk about it. That's probably where your biggest separator is between good glass
Mhm.
and phenomenal glass,
Right.
is
Right.
how well it cuts through that um mirage.
Right.
Uh and a lot of that comes down to the coatings on the lenses.
Sure.
Uh and what have you. That's what makes the difference, between your brands, because at the end of the day, there's only so many glass manufacturers out there. I
Right.
think there's, the last I checked, there's 5 to 7 glass, and every optic in the world, no matter who it is getting their glass from that. Now, how they finish grind it and the coating they put on it is where your separation.
I got you.
A
I got you.
lot of your Night Force and your
Hmm.
Vortex and your Collis and your Spin, they all not only have a patented specific grinding method that they finish at, but they also have very, very well protected coating recipes,
I got you. I
and
got
and
you.
that's really what makes the biggest separator. But
All right. So let me ask you this then: first focal plane or second focal plane?
I've seen people do it both ways, but again, because of so much dialing and so much magnification change, I think you need to go with a first focal plane.
Okay.
That's where the reticle that you're looking at always stays correct. So in other words, if you're looking in there, and in my case it's mils, 1 mil is always 1 mil.
Right.
It's not very variable dependent upon what uh,
Magnification
magnification
setting.
you're on.
Yeah.
It doesn't change.
Just do first focal plane. It's just simpler for ELR. It's just it's less math you have to think about on the line.
Right.
And I for me, I need less to think about on the line than more to think about.
I
Uh,
I I have some good friends that shoot a lot of 1,000 yard bench.
sure.
Good friend of mine, Dale McCully, and he's got some world records on the
Yeah.
bench. He's a second focal plane because he's all about that small aiming point, that small
Sure.
aiming point. And
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, Dale, but your target never changes distance. Your target
Yeah.
is always 1,000 yards, and
Right.
and uh, your substensions aren't as important to you. You can use them for scaling and you can use them for
Mhm.
wind estimations to some degree, but uh, you're not changing your uh, substensions that much. Once you find a power and
And
dial in on it. you're there. And most of the time for him, it's max power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different discipline. Whereas we're changing, our targets are
Right.
getting out further, and the further you go out, unfortunately, the worse a place like Pitts, the worse the Mirage
Yeah.
gets.
You're just magnifying the Mirage,
And
so.
and as people may ask, well, what is Mirage, or what does that effect have on your optic? Well, the best analogy that I've ever seen used, and I was using it with Corbin from
Okay.
Zeiss once, and he's like, "Man, that's a really good way to explain it." So I've always looked at it as like anybody's been in a swimming pool and thrown a rock in there, one of the pool toys, and it falls to the bottom of the pool, and you're looking at it, oh, there it is, and you reach in and grab it, and guess what? There's nothing there.
Right.
That is the same way that Mirage works. It's moisture or water in the air, and it's doing the same thing. It's distorting
Yeah.
that picture,
Yeah.
and that's what a lot of people like. Well, I'm going to turn that magnification up, and I'm going to shoot through it. That's not a good idea. You can't do that, because what ends up happening is that target looks like it's out there moving. It's not moving. We know that's not physically possible. It's not moving, but those images are. And when you shoot at it, just like when you reach for that object in the pool,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's not where you think it is. So even if you
Right.
do everything right and you thought your hold was perfect, and you're like, yeah, did you change anything? Your spotter's going, did you adjust? And you're like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
The target wasn't where you thought it was.
Right.
And
That's right.
that's really what it comes down to. So it is better to turn that optic down to 18 power and
Yeah.
see it clearly without Mirage, even though it be smaller.
Right.
You're going to be more accurate
Right.
in the long run.
All right. So, what other any other features you can think of on the scope? You want to, I would say, what we call a Christmas tree reticle. You want your subtensions to be able to hold, because a lot of times you don't have time to dial wind. You're on the clock. You're shooting. It helps to have those subtensions, and sometimes you run out of elevation on image, right? So I'd say
Right.
a Christmas tree reticle is pretty much standard on ELR optics now. Um, what else? Any other features you can think of that? So we've got plenty of adjustment. So I want to address one thing real quick. Is sometimes you're never going to have enough adjustment. So let's talk about both adjustable inclination bases real quick and prisms. And if this may need to be another episode, but we'll do a quick rundown. Adjustable inclination base is something that's going to have a built-in fixed value that angles your scope for you on top of your scope adjustment.
Okay.
Air Attack, Ivy mounts, Dan Warner at Moab. They make the Moab. I think that has their base. It has a set pin, which is a really good system. But there are different ways to tilt that. Valdata has a adjustable inclination base. That's one way to add more elevation. Do be aware that if you do that, you're going to need that adjustable cheek piece to keep your eye centered. The other option for that, Zach, and you may have more experience with these, is a prism that'll offset the image coming into the scope by a certain amount. And that amount's going to be fixed. Night Force has one. TACOM HQ has one. And that sets it by a certain amount that's usually engraved on the mount, and it goes in front of your scope, and it uses the optics to adjust it.
Right. It usually comes in a standard, I think, of 50 and 100 MOA.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're stackable.
Right.
So if you have the night vision rail, pick rail across the front of and you're shooting 4,000 yards, you can stack more than one prism on that. That's one probably advantage to a prism.
Right.
I know TACCOM's got a new one now. Theirs is pretty adjustable. I want to say, is it 300 MOA?
I think so.
I think you can click up to 300 MOA in 50 or something increments.
I got you. So Zach, I sure we got about 5 or so minutes left. You want to run down through sort of marketplace options and talk about some scopes that are out there for shooters to look at that would give some of these features?
I think you mentioned one another time is the Arkin. Arkin is probably going to be your minimum. You want to start at a price point. Probably want a scope that costs at least as much as your rifle.
Yeah.
Probably a good starting point. If you say as a minimum, because your scope is going to go from rifle to rifle, you're going to keep it a lot longer.
Right. It's a better investment a lot of times than a rifle is.
And again, what you can't hit, what you can't see.
No. I would say you probably start, the Athlon Cronus is a very competitive scope. Athlon glass. I've for the price points I've always been impressed with, and so the Cronus is a really good scope. And very they focus on their mechanics and their glass, and you can't go wrong with them. They're a good option. You'll see them on a lot of firing lines. Going up from there, I'd say probably maybe your Vortex. Is it the Strike Eagle that's that next step?
Strike Eagle going to be minimum. I used
Yeah.
a lot of the Razor series, both Gen
Sure.
2 and Gen 3.
Ooh. Yeah, that Razor's a good scope. Yeah.
I'll warn you. I'll tell you one thing. Let you in on a little secret. A lot of times, wait to play around with some of the good glass,
Yes.
unless your budget can afford it, because it will make a glass snob out of you. You know, for a long time, I like Burris. I thought that, and they still make a good product.
Yeah.
Some of their competition scopes are really great, and I would still think they were really great until I grabbed a scope that was twice the price point.
Sure.
And then and even some of them. Another good example is, as much as I am a big fan of Vortex, I think they make a great product. They're repeatable. They're clear. Mainly they're in my price point, but you can go to a Tangent, probably bar none, some of the best glass I've used. Zero Compromise.
Zero. Yeah.
They're in that really high price range.
Yeah.
And you get everything you pay for.
Yeah.
But in most of the time, that results in clarity through magnification and mirage. That's where you're going to see it. So that's where my line is drawn a lot of times in the price point.
So quick rundown of some scopes. Yeah.
Yep.
So you'd say Athlon Cronus, your Trigicon 10-mile series, your Sig Tango 6 or so, your Vortex Razors, fantastic. Your Zeiss LRP S3s, the Zeiss scopes are really nice now. Your Collis is always a huge player and great optics, bigger in PRS, but you're seeing them in ELR. Schmidt and Bender for years was the gold standard in glass. Like you said, Zico, Zero Compromise, Tangent Theta. March has that really neat, the March Genesis, that sort of takes a different approach to having all of that MOA built into a body of the scope and good glass, and good reticles. It goes, I think, up to 60 magnification, which is probably honestly one of the few drawbacks with theirs is you never use it. I have one of those scopes. It's ridden my light gun for several years. Before that, it rode my heavy gun. And most of the time, as high as I ever get, if conditions are perfect, is about 40 magnification. The rest of it's wasted.
One other one I would be remiss if we didn't mention. Eric's a big fan, and I am too. They make great product. Night Force. They're always mentioned there. They're a popular scope in ELR. They're a popular scope in PRS, and there's reasons for that. They make a very good product as well. Everything from their SHV up to their attacker. The Beast.
Yeah. And if weight's a concern, the Leupold Mark V HD.
Oh, absolutely.
Glass. It's a 35 millimeter tube, which limits your mounting option some, but a fantastic scope for the price and the glass for it. Repeated. I've been very impressed with those I've looked through.
Yeah.
So Zach, we've got about a minute. Let me do a quick rundown on features, and you fill in what I forgot. 34 millimeter tube, plenty of elevation, good glass, good coatings, and first focal plane with a Christmas tree retina.
And repeatability.
So what's coming up on the match schedule next?
Black Bear, March 14th, Unholy match. I'll be there. Some of our friends will be there. We're going to have a good time.
Nice. I hope to make it. That's March 14th and 15th. And then we've got Thunder Valley in April.
Yep, that's about the same time. I think mid-April-ish.
Yeah,
I can't remember the date off the top of my head. We had to cancel our February one because of snow and ice. But
all right. Well, Zach, I appreciate the rundown tonight, man. I'm looking forward to our next episode, and hopefully y'all keep the warm weather coming, and we'll see you soon on the firing line.
All righty. You have a good one, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Bye-bye.